Hi, this is Greg Maddox, and you're listening to Out of Left Field on the Grueling Truth Network.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Out of Left Field on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Graham and Chris back with you again, brought to you by MyBookie.ag, where you can get a $1,000 sign-up bonus when you tell them you heard about MyBookie.ag on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Just go to thegruelingtruth.com, click the MyBookie.ag banner on the top of the page, and complete your registration. A full show for you today. Court is in recess in the Bronx as the Yankees send yet another player to the injured list. One of baseball's top prospects makes his debut north of the border. A former Rookie of the Year is having a first month for the ages. And, of course, our top five, bottom three. As we put the ball into play and say hello to Chris Ferryman. It's been a couple of weeks. You guys heard we're doing top five, bottom three, not power rankings. It's because I have been really sick for the last week and a half or so, which is why accompanied with Easter, we didn't have a show last week, and just now starting to feel good enough to get one set for you guys this week.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. It was a little weird last week. I figured we weren't going to do anything because of Easter, but it was a little weird that you didn't even call or anything. So I figured you must be not feeling well.
You called me and answered like, oh, that's why. There wasn't even it was understood now. Yeah. The voice. I told guys for a couple of days this week I was doing my best impression of PJ Carlesimo after a really big game. Because I had the hoarseness and it was not a good sounding thing. I think my dad used to shoot animals that sounded like that because they were in pain or something. It was pretty rough.
Wow. Well, in other news, the summer league has started, so that's been fun.
For you guys?
Today. Yeah, play a little baseball today.
Nice. How'd you do?
Let's see.
Of course, I can't tell. I know how he did, which is why I'm so enthusiastic to talk about it.
Is there something worse than really, really bad? Really, really bad?
Yeah, there's Chris Davis.
I have a higher batting average than Chris Davis.
Not saying much, but
I have a higher batting average than Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, but he's just getting started. Or he has more at-bats than you do.
He does have more at-bats than I do. He does. I have a higher batting average than Gary Sanchez.
Again, not saying much.
Fair. I also strike out at about the same 4-1 clip, though. No, it was good. We had fun. First game back. Nobody really had been practicing because it's a men's summer league. And I live in Cottonwood, and everybody else lives in Flagstaff, which is about an hour north of me.
Yeah.
So we don't really have a chance to get together and practice much. But it was good. First game jitters got to us, but we got run ruled in the fifth inning, 13-3. So there.
But hey, at least you drove in 2 of those 3 runs.
I did. It was a good game for me.
I mean, that's all you can really ask for. At the end of the day, it's not, not the worst thing in the world.
So,
I mean, to be fair,
I'm happy about this.
You have more RBIs than Vlad Guerrero Jr. does. It makes you feel any better.
It does. It does make me feel better.
Okay.
Speaking of,
he has a higher ceiling and more of a future in the game than you do. That makes you feel any better.
He's also got a famous dad, and he makes a crap load of money. So good for him.
There we go.
Speaking of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., however, he did finally make his Major League Baseball debut after the Major League club said that he wasn't ready after the end of spring training, which is, I'm pretty sure, is MLB code for we want to control him for an extra year. So he spent some time down in the minor leagues, finally made his Major League debut on April 26th, I think, just a couple days ago, and hit a double and immediately was pinch run for, which I think that what happened is he hit a double late in the game, and there was an opportunity to bring that run around to score, and they wanted someone faster than him because he's not exactly grease lightning on the base paths. But he's a hell of a third baseman, though. He made a couple of really good plays from deep. And I'm not sure what that hand signal is that you're doing there, Graham, but
Grease lightning dance, man. Come on now.
oh, okay. Okay.
The dance. Keep in mind, though, the first thing, the code, he got hurt. He got hurt tailing the spring training. So it ended up actually kind of working out better for Toronto because you're able to have a legitimate reason as to why you didn't have him up in the bigs. You know, this is one of those things where kind of ironic that, you know, both he and his dad make their debuts north of the border. Of course, his dad with Montreal and he's with Toronto. But, I mean, this is what we waited for, right? You know, 2 games, he's had 9 plate appearances, 8 official at-bats, walked 1, struck out twice. But, you know, I mean, we expect to see probably a little bit of maybe a jitter or 2 at the beginning and then probably an offensive explosion if things work out the way we all kind of expect. And then it'll probably taper off the way that most rookies do. He certainly has the pedigree and what seems to be the baseball acumen to very quickly acclimate to this. And, you know, unlike another guy who made his rookie debut a couple of years ago and is having one hell of a year, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, right. I mean, there's a chance for Guerrero to kind of be that same kind of guy. And we are at a point right now where you know, if Vlad's like his dad and has the arm and has the pop, and maybe is going to be a guy who doesn't overuse the pop, which would be great. I mean, we could really – this is going to be a fun time for baseball fans if you're young or if you're, you know, kind of a kid like when you and I were when, you know, Chipper Jones was coming around and, you know, and those kind of guys, you know, were making their debut. I remember, you know, when Pujols came around and we were still probably – you were probably, early teens. I was just before. And now we're seeing these guys as their careers end. And now we're at that point where, you know, my gosh, now these guys are about to, you know, we're going to see a whole new crop, these really, really good youngsters and kids that are, you know, your kids like Peyton is going to get a chance to watch guys like Trout and Vlad and Bellinger continue to grow for the next 15, 20 years in the game. It's an exciting time for baseball.
Yeah. And I mean, add to that, you know, the ability to watch the son of a kid, the son of a guy who I watched growing up makes you feel a little bit old. Not as old as you saying that I was probably in my early teens when Pujols debuted because I was 18. Yeah, Pujols 2001, right? 36. I was 18. Half of 18 is 30. 18 times 2 is 36. So half a lifetime ago for me, but still, I was 36. I was 18. So
I mean, hey,
thanks for making me feel like an old man.
Is nearing the end of his playing career.
Yeah, we went to high school together. I don't want to hear it. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. But getting to watch Pujols, getting to watch Vladimir Guerrero as a kid, and then now getting to watch his kid play is a lot of fun. And you're right. It is the younger generation that's going to see these guys continue to get better and better and make their stamp on Major League Baseball, which I absolutely assume Vlad Jr. is going to do. I think that just, you know, not always does a pedigree work out, but when you're talking about, you know, Vlad Jr. and you look at his swing and all you can see is his dad swinging the bat, it bodes well for him. Griffey was the same way, right? You know, watched a little bit of Ken Griffey Sr. And then grew up with Junior, obviously, right? So yeah, you know, it's another situation like that, and I'm pretty excited to watch this kid. I don't think I've ever been this excited to watch the the Toronto Blue Jays do anything as I have been to watch Vladimir Guerrero Jr. play baseball.
Well, here's something I didn't know. The Blue Jays are sitting on the possibility of a cornerstone of multiple former big leaguers' kids in their farm system looking for that big league shot. Dante Bichette's kid, Bo. Obviously, from Florida. It was from Apopka. They're the team that took Apopka to the Little League World Series back in, I think, the late '90s, if I recall correctly. I mean, you have that. You've got Nate Pearson and another kid named the last name. It's Kevin Biggio. Yeah, Craig Biggio's a kid plays in the Blue Jays farm system. So, I mean, needless to say,
I may have heard that name somewhere.
Yeah, there's some pedigree that the Jays have taken some investment in, and we are at a point here where if you can get the same kind of defensive production as well as even a semblance of the offensive production of Vlad Sr., I think the question will become, and it'll be interesting to see how this year goes, because there are some guys this year already who are making Rookie of the Year look like a possible foregone conclusion. Now Tatis is up, although injured currently. You have Vlad Jr. up. We'll see where he goes. I'm curious to see if the Blue Jays decide to do something like what the Braves did with Ronald Acuna Jr., we talked about last year. Now, I don't expect Vlad Jr. to agree to that kind of insane amount of years and small amount of money, but I am curious to see if this is something that they try and lock him up for a longer term, maybe with some more money, I would assume, but it'll be curious to see if that is a deviation that baseball begins to make in the way that they contractually go after young talent who they already have a semblance of 4 to 5 years of rookie control over.
Right. And what's interesting for me is I had no idea about that either, about all those major league ball players, kids in the Toronto farm system. What interests me about that is it almost sounds like they're looking for these guys as they come into the draft, right? If they're still available and Toronto has an opportunity. Can you imagine having last names Biggio and Guerrero on the same field at the same time, and everybody's looking around and go, what is it, 1997? What's going on right now?
How about having Craig Biggio as an infield consultant during spring training and Vlad Guerrero as an outfield consultant for spring training, and then Dante Bichette helping you with your power swing? Just a thought.
Not only do they have a bunch of really good ball players, kids, but they also have those ball players at their disposal now because they're all their kids play for the team. It's like Little League, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what those guys' Little League teams were like?
Well, like I said, I mean, I know that Bichette post retirement took the team to. It was a year that Danny Almonte, the kid from New York,
Right.
had the whole issue with the birth certificate and whatnot, and they lost the game. Then because of that, made it back into the championship. They lost, I think, to Japan that year, but really kind of galvanized Orlando and the surrounding areas. But yeah, at the end of this is going to be, it's good to see him finally up. It's what we all have kind of been hoping for a while, and it's nice to finally get to that point. They did option Richard Arena down to AAA. This is a guy who, you put him down there. He's a infielder, shortstop, second baseman kind of guy. I'm a little surprised that they didn't have something else to make use of him for. Was hitting .313 this year in 11 games. Couple of doubles. Not a big power guy. 1 walk to 8 strikeouts. So obviously, he's almost a 1 to 4 to 4.5 to 5 kind of walk to strikeout guy. But this is a guy who makes contact well. He's going to be a contact piece, and if you can find a place to put him in this lineup as a young, solid infielder, a piece that I think the Jays will do their best to try and hold on to, as he's just over 23 years old.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him develop and move forward and get, earn that veteran status and see where he's at in a couple of years, and how the Blue Jays are treating him really is one of the important things that I'm going to be looking forward to, because there is some precedent, I think, there now, thanks to Ronald Acuna Jr. There's some precedent there now to pay these kids, and
Right.
I think that Guerrero is going to be one of those guys that does get paid, more than just maintaining a contract, which Gio Gonzalez couldn't do in New York. But
he found his way back to where he had a modicum of success last year, going 3-0 after his acquisition to Milwaukee with a 2.13 ERA and 25 innings pitched.
Well, I'm actually happy for Gio Gonzalez because it's fun to be able to see him kind of turn it around and get picked up. One of the things that I'm sort of interested in now, he's going to make his debut start, I think, is going to be today. It looks like he had offers from the Mets and the Brewers, but obviously with the starting rotation of the Mets, he felt like he had a better opportunity to start in Milwaukee, which he does, and he did actually start today. So they did sign him to a major league contract, which is better than what he had in New York. It's an improvement over the contract that he was offered prior to spring training this year. And I think that this is going to be good for him because he did play with him last year. He did do pretty well there. He had a modicum of success, as you said. So it's going to be fun to watch Gio Gonzalez. I'm happy for him. I was really thinking after watching him play in spring training and then a little bit in the beginning of the year, I was really thinking maybe he's on the real backside of that career. So hopefully he can pick it back up.
I mean, he didn't have the worst day. Went 5, allowed 2 earned runs on 6-6, walked 1, struck out 2. Better than what we've seen him do, especially even during spring training. I caught one of the tail end. I think it might have been his last spring training start in New York, and he was really off. Couldn't find the zone. A lot of his breaking stuff was off. His fastball has never really been on. His fastball is a tool to make his breaking stuff more effective, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to have a get him by a fastball. Sometimes having something, we've talked about that plenty, obviously. But I think at the end of this, this is one of those things where he might have found a little bit of success with the Mets. It depends. I mean, Steven Matz won today, but we have seen some of those guys really, really struggle. Sometimes the back half of that rotation gets really, really rough. So, I think he might have found a home there, but this is a team that he knows he made a postseason run with. He's seen what they've added, which is obviously a good thing. And if they believe that the same thing they saw last year, and if that modicum of success was built around the way that coaching staff has helped him, maybe he didn't jive with the Larry Rothschild as good as he is. Right. Some guys just don't. Right. Same thing with the Giants. And you'll have to help me because I'll lose a name here. It's the same guys like with Leo Mazzoni for the Braves or Rick Honeycutt of the Dodgers or whomever the Giants pitching coach is, but some guys just don't respond in the same way. That those mechanics, that coaching doesn't work for them. It worked for Gio. We saw it work for a while in Washington, and then we saw it taper off in Washington. So this could be a good thing for him. And as a lefty, that's always going to make you more desirable. And if he can get you, 20, 30 starts, or he'll get he gets innings as he throws 3 or more innings. He gets a point for those appearances. He gets $333,333 upon accumulating his 25th, 30th, 35th, and 40th points. And they add a dollar for his 45th and 50th. So a nice bit of incentives for him as well, almost $2 million. This could be really good for him. It's not going to be a career changing signing, but it might be a career extending type of thing.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, he's one of those guys that, you know, you look back over his career and you look at some of the stuff that he's done in the various places that he's been, and he's never really been like the lights out guy, right? He had that one sort of really good season where he finished third in the Cy Young voting. That was in 2012, right?
It was behind R.A. Dickey, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. When he's playing for the Nationals and in 2012, and so, you know, he
finished sixth 2 years ago. I mean, at least he finished sixth in the voting back in 2017, which, you know, was still nothing to shake a stick at.
Right. But since then, it's been a pretty steady decline. But like you said, he went 5 today, allowed 2 earned, not bad for his first major league start of the season. And only his 4th actual season start, I think. He had two pretty good starts in minor league, in the minors, and then I think his 3rd one got rained out. But it's only his 4th start of the year from an actual baseball season perspective, and his first major league start of the season. So not bad numbers for that. And to put it all into perspective, we're talking about a guy who's a 2-time All-Star who has spent the last couple of years really, really struggling. So maybe he's starting to put it back together. I hope so.
I hope. I mean, he went 2-1 in AAA, but a 6 ERA. Gave up 10 earned runs on 19 hits at Scranton for the Yankees AAA affiliate. So, you know, that was, I think, was the hardest part, you know, for me at that point. But at the end of this, hopefully, if he has finally gone ahead and been able to figure this out, or at least go somewhere where he knows, like I said, that he can be coached in a way that makes him successful, that's a smart signing, and that's what you expect from a guy who, you know, is almost going to be 34 years old. He's been in the league since 2008, so he's on his 11th or 12th year now. He knows where this goes. So go for it. If you can help him get to the playoffs again, help him maybe get to the World Series and make yourself useful, you might find your way into a 2-year deal with a year 3 option or a 1 and a 1. And if that's what you're looking for, and you're going to get guaranteed money, you can't really complain on that.
No, you can't, and you shouldn't. I think that as long as he's been in Major League Baseball and the success that he's had and the teams that he's played for, you know, he's played for teams that have gone deep in the playoffs. He played for teams that went to National League Championship Series. Right. You know, unfortunately, as many teams have found out, when Dusty Baker's your coach, you don't get past the National League Championship Series, but still. But he's played for good teams, and he has an opportunity here with that.
Hey, he got you to the World Series.
Fair. With that strong core group of really good baseball players that the Brewers have, he has an opportunity to go deep in the playoffs again. Maybe go to a World Series again. The Brewers are really, for all intents and purposes, I mean, I don't want to get too much into what we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, but the Brewers are looking pretty good. I mean, in a division that we knew was going to be
right. They look good in a grand sense, in a sense of a 162 game season. You know, they're going to be okay. I mean, they'll weather the few storms that come their way, as any ball club will.
I mean, the Dodgers still look like probably the odds-on choice in the World Series for me, but I could see another Dodgers-Brewers National League Championship Series in the works, especially if the Cubs can't pull their head out of their 4th point. But they're doing a little bit better now. They finally climbed up over 500. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. But yeah, no, this is good. It's better news for Gio as far as the Yankees are concerned, than the Yankees got this week. Because, one of the hardest hitting guys in the league, not going to be swinging a bat for a little while. In fact,
I think it's good news for Gio because now he believes he can stay healthier because he's not on the Yankees.
Right? Because everybody on the Yankees is hurt. So Aaron Judge goes down with an oblique injury. Not the thing you want. We saw what that can do to a guy a couple of years ago. It's a difficult injury to come back from, right? Because both motions, the swinging of the bat, the throwing of the ball, they both are going to use that oblique muscle.
Breaking news. Reports coming in that that Aaron Boone pulled a groin on the way out to the mound to pull out a pitcher, and that Brian Cashman also has carpal tunnel and is unable to sign contracts for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, looks like the Yankees are just – you know what? Just hit the reset button, New York. We'll start this one over again.
Nope, Cashman can't do that. His wrist keeps him from being able to do that too.
But, Gary Sanchez was down for a while. He's back now. Not that – he's hitting the ball really hard when he makes contact. But he's still Gary Sanchez. The guy's hitting 230. Stanton hurt his bicep, and then while he was hurt, he hurt his shoulder. He's out. He's going to be out for a little while, probably a few weeks before he comes back. But this oblique injury could be really, really bad for Aaron Judge. This could keep him out for a while. And that's not good for the Yankees. The Yankees are struggling as it is. And, as much as he swings and misses and as much as you and I like to dog him a little bit, not having Aaron Judge on the field is not good for the Yankees.
Absolutely not. And we saw what this did, to guys like Miguel Cabrera, and he, he's still sitting on 7 straight All-Star games between 2010 and 2016. But, we saw him with the oblique issue. I think it was in 2013. He was in 148 games. Still manages to win an MVP, but we saw how it affected him, his inability overall. I'm sorry, it was in 2015. He was in 119 games. That's what it was. It went to the All-Star game, but finished 11th in the MVP. And then, of course, he misses a bunch of games. Then we began to see things tick down for him at that point, right? He goes from hitting 338 that year, then 316 the year after, now 249 in 2017, finally built his way back up to a 299 stint last year and hitting 292 with a home run so far this year. So, this kept him out for quite a while. And it's one of those things that it is very hard once you have an oblique injury, not just to rehab from it, but to not have something happen again that is either an oblique injury or something as a result of it, because anytime you're going to have that soreness, you're going to change the way you swing. You're going to change the way you step. The question is going to be, what kind of hitter will he be when he comes back, right? I think he said that during the home run derby, he kind of, he felt really sore afterwards. This is going to be that multiplied now. So, as he goes into this, the question is going to be, how well does the rehab go? Can he keep the same form without changing up, his mechanics that much? Because if he does that this early on in the year, that's going to be a hard habit to break if he gets used to it. And then you're looking at almost an entire year of trying to coach him back into his original swing. That is a big, scary thought if you're a New York Yankees fan, or a very happy thought if you're Red Ant.
Right, exactly. But it's also what's even scary about this is really the only thing that the Yankees have going for them right now is the power that's in their lineup, the ability that they have to score runs. And this is going to severely limit that. And there's an issue because we've seen how bad their starting pitching has been. And, I don't want to go too far into denigrating their starting rotation, but it's been lackluster. And their bullpen is inconsistent. They're not getting the job done. They have managed to win some games, but it's because they've been putting huge numbers on the board. And, they spent the last 4 days playing the Giants. So there's that. I mean, they've been crushing the ball against the Giants. Apparently, the baseball flies better in San Francisco when you're a Yankee than it does when you're a Giant.
Well,
so,
the Yankees have a plus 37 run differential. So, they have obviously, the power, as you mentioned, is
right. Good enough for second best in the league, actually.
Right.
So right behind the people who are the team that's leading that division. But we could see that number drop with Judge gone, because Judge and Stanton are both out. You're gonna sort of have to lean back on Gary Sanchez to be the big power guy, and he's just not. He's not that guy. Like, he's a power guy, right? But he's not the consistent hitter that you need him to be. So,
right. And J Happ comes in. He's got a 4.68 ERA. James Paxton right now, with a 3.38 ERA. Tanaka at a 3.6. Oddly enough, your best right now is CC Sabathia at 2.4, but he's also only pitched 15 innings in 3 games. Now, that's because the start of the season he had the suspension, but there is still that concern. It looks like, you need to figure out what you're going to do when hopefully you get Betances back. He still has the shoulder impingement. That's not something you want to hear. That's about as good as hearing that Nathan Eovaldi from the Red Sox is having elbow surgery to remove some loose bodies. Is that where you hide them?
Yeah,
your elbow. I'm going to have some surgery. No.
I feel like I could find a better place for a body than my elbow. But, again, New York's going to struggle here with the Judge injury. We'll probably see that run differential dip down a bit, probably below the number 3 team in the league, which is LA. And, I could probably think of a couple reasons why LA has a plus 31 run differential. But I think maybe the best reason is because Cody Bellinger is hitting 420 right now and has 14 home runs.
That'll do it.
So everybody else in the league is out there every day playing Major League Baseball. And I feel like Cody Bellinger has sent his MLB The Show 19 version of himself out to hit for him, because the kid is just raking. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
In 100 at-bats, he has 42 hits. That's actually, these are yesterday's numbers, excuse me. So bear with me a little bit. They have not updated his numbers for today's game. He hit his 14th home run today. He's got 34 ribbies, that home run being a solo shot. But he leads the league in batting average, on base, slugging, OPS, runs, hits. Yeah. Pretty much all of the offensive numbers. It's a little bit ridiculous. And this isn't in 3 games. This is in 28 games with 100 at-bats and 120 plate appearances. He's walked 17 times, only struck out 13 times.
So Bellinger today went 2 for 3 with 3 RBI and 1 strikeout. He is currently, as of this moment, hitting .427 with a 500 on base percentage and slugging .913. He has a 1.413 OPS.
That's disgusting. It's disgusting. April 28th, right? 28 games into the season, 29 games into the season, and this kid is hitting like this. If this isn't an MVP bid, I don't know what is. This is not just an MVP bid. Right now, if the season ends tomorrow, not only does he win the Triple Crown, but he's shoo-in MVP. I realize April's a rough time to say shoo-in MVP, but if he can even maintain 80% of this for the rest of the season, no one's going to be able to touch him. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean it's I think what gets me right is that normally he is like a 2.5 to 1 strikeout to walk guy. Mm-hmm. He has walked 19 times, he has walked 17 times and struck out 14 times. So he's seeing the ball well, right? He's being patient. He's waiting for what he gets, and then smack. I mean, we're looking at a guy who has 20 out of 42 extra base hits. 21 extra base hits now. 14 homers, 6 doubles, and a triple.
And we're talking about a guy who. So what you're saying is we're talking about a guy who half the time he puts the bat on the ball, he gets extra bases.
Right.
He's also made himself the 4th person in Major League Baseball history to have 14 home runs before May 1st, and increases his MLB record for total bases for the first month of the season to 90 total bases. And it is now tied Yelich for the league lead for RBI.
And you might hate this, but if he continues on this pace, I don't want to see him in the home run derby.
No, I don't. I really don't. I agree, because we've seen what it does to guys in the second half.
We know it changes guys' productivity and swing. I want to see this just progress and play out.
And hopefully he has the good sense, and I think he does, but hopefully he has the good sense to sit it out if he's invited. Because I think it would be better for him to not do that. He was invited last year, I think, and he didn't go.
Well, I think he won his rookie year. I think his dad threw to him.
Right, but he was invited last year too. I'm pretty sure he had 25 home runs last year. Pretty sure he got invited to the home run derby, but I think he sat it out. Him and Aaron Judge both. I'm pretty sure.
Judge has said that's it. He doesn't see a.
Yeah, he's done. Ever, yeah.
And
the $1 million prize money.
That's great unless you're Aaron Judge with an oblique injury and you see a ton of millions in your future.
It's like the dunk contest. It's something that rookies do.
So you mentioned that. I heard this story the other day. This is off topic completely, and we'll get to our top 5, bottom 3 here in just a second. So Jake Owen, country singer, was on some podcast or radio show and talking about that he went, he's a golf fanatic and a really, really good golfer at that. And he was at Jordan Spieth's wedding, which I believe was just after Thanksgiving, and he saw Phil Mickelson there. And he had a few too many drinks in him, and he had a Chris Ferry moment. He said, you know what? I need to go over here and have a word with Phil, because he bought the Phil Tiger pay-per-view tournament thing, and it was a travesty. And he's like, hey, he said, you owe me $30 effing for making me watch that god-awful thing that you guys called golf and wasted 5 hours of my life that I'll never get back. And he said that Mickelson pulls out a wad of $100 bills, said, yeah, I just won 90,000 yesterday. Take one and F off, and threw it at him and walked away.
Holy crap!
But the best part of this whole story is, as this starts going viral and making the news, apparently Mickelson grabbed one of them off Twitter retweeted and put true story.
Yes. I love Phil Mickelson. He sort of caught my attention as a southpaw golfer, and you don't see a whole lot of left-handed golfers.
Right.
So
he and Bubba are probably the two most. He and Bubba are the two most well-known, obviously.
Right. So he caught my attention with that, and he's a really good golfer, but his attitude is hilarious because he's like a really nice guy.
I think I've told you this thing before, and I won't say it on the air because it was not the most family-friendly thing. But up in St. Augustine, they do horse carriage tours around the historic part of the city. Right, and one of the guys doing it after he retired, he was the course pro at TPC Sawgrass. Been around the block a little bit, and
sure.
And he said that there was a going. Mickelson is one of the most despised golfers on the tour, and there is a going saying about him that that you will get a good kick out of, but I'm not going to put it out there because if any of our young listeners, I just that's not something fair to do for them, but you will definitely enjoy it.
That's funny. I like it. I wonder. The funny thing to me is like the guy's a country singer, so he's got some money, right? I mean, he's pretty well known.
Jake Owen, yeah,
pretty well known guy.
From about an hour and a half south of me in Vero Beach.
He's got some money. Phil Mickelson knows obviously that he's a nationally record-selling Grammy winning country guy, right? And he still saw fit to pull $100 bill out of his pocket and throw it at him like he wasn't worth his time.
No, pull out a bunch.
Oh, right. Sorry.
And
pull
one at him.
I just won 90,000 of this yesterday. Here, take one and F off. I love it, man. Phil Mickelson is one of my favorite people.
Let's get to our top 5, bottom 3, guys. We will have our power rankings next week for you. Again, I'm sorry, I had a really rough cold. Chris called me a couple of times. I called him once after working a baseball game, which, I mean, the first one was okay. The one on Friday, I went from feeling pretty good during the day at work to body aches and fatigue mid-game. Not a good combination.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's go ahead. This is an interesting one because we have a lot of teams who are in their position based off at some point games played, right? A half game here, a game or two there, rain. As we sit right now, the Tampa Bay Rays are the top team in baseball at 18-9 with a 667 winning percentage. Okay. So that is where they sit. However, I actually have the LA Dodgers at number 1 on my top 5, followed by the Rays, just because I am just blown away by what the Dodgers are doing. Plus the fact they're 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 4 straight, a plus 31 run differential. The Rays have a plus 44 differential. They're 5-5 in the last 10. I just, with what the Dodgers are doing right now, and because of like what we talked about with Bellinger, I could easily flip 1 and 2 happily with no argument. But I went ahead and put LA on top, the Tampa Bay number 2, which is maybe a travesty because they're in my backyard, but that's just how I feel. I don't think the 2 games really just automatically gives Tampa my number 1 spot.
I'm right there with you. And actually, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have Tampa at number 2.
Really?
Yeah. I know they're the best team in baseball. But they're the best team in baseball by winning percentage. I've got St. Louis at number 2. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They won 2 in a row. They've really turned it on here the last couple weeks, and they're on a tear.
Okay.
And so they're 17-10. They're what, 2 wins behind LA and a loss ahead of them. So they're LA's winning at a 633 clip. The St. Louis Cardinals are winning at a 630 clip, and they're playing good baseball. I have Tampa Bay at number 3 because, I get it, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. They won 2 in a row, but and their run differential is good, but St. Louis is at plus 28, good enough for 4th in the league. I like St. Louis at number 2. I could switch 2 and 3 too. I could swap 2 and 3. I could even swap 1 and 3. But
I think the hard part for me in looking at that is
this week St. Louis is the better team, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I actually had St. Louis at 5 on mine just because I think I kind of became prisoner of the grander picture instead of just the moment now. I still have the Mariners at 3 just because they're still playing really productive ball, and they've
I don't
been
have the Mariners on my top 5 at all.
really.
No.
Yeah, I just
5-5 in their last 10 and on a 2-game losing streak, and they went on that long run of no wins where they were what, 13-2, and then they all of a sudden they were 13-11.
It was something like that. To me, I just with 18 wins, it just kind of hard to go ahead and sit back. Yeah, I could have put the Astros who were on top. Hell, I almost even thought of putting the Minnesota Twins in there just because of how interesting they are.
I don't have the Astros either.
No, I don't either. I actually had the Dodgers, the Rays, the Mariners, the Yankees, and the Cardinals. The Yankees, even with the injuries, still at 17-11, they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They've won 3 straight. It was really hard to go ahead, and I get 9-1 when you're playing the Giants doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot, but
Right.
A win is a win. So just looking at that, so yeah, I probably got caught a little bit on that. It doesn't help that I've been sick, not watching much baseball at all.
We're sort of way off this week.
Yeah, and again, part of that, like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch a ton of baseball.
I don't have the Yankees. I don't have the Yankees either.
If you really had me sit back and take if I had a chance to go back through it again, I actually I might have dropped the Mariners off and actually put the Minnesota Twins up in there at 16-9, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. I could probably go ahead and easily put the Cardinals at 3, keep my Yankees at 4, and then drop off the Mariners and put the Twins at 5.
Yeah, I have the Twins on my top 5.
Okay.
So I went L.A., St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia,
Okay.
Minnesota. And the reason I went Philadelphia is Philadelphia's won 3 games in a row against a team that I didn't think would be doing as well as they are today, as well as they are now.
About the Tigers?
Yeah, the Tigers are a better team than the Giants. And that's why I swapped the Yankees and their 3-game winning streak for the Phillies and their 3-game winning streak. Plus, I like to see the Phillies back on top of that division. It's where they belong. It's what they need to be doing. It puts the Washington Nationals in 4th place, which is another thing that I like to see because you took the Nationals this year. So, all in all, I'm really happy with what the Phillies are doing.
Yeah, I mean, they are there, and the Padres are 16-12. So, I mean, there is still some goodness there. But even more important, I think, is the fact that the Reds are 11-16. So.
Is that what we're doing?
But hey, they're 5 games away from 500, so you might be. I mean, actually,
they're only 4.5 games out of first place.
Yeah, but hey, but the Nats are 4 games out of first place, so I am by proxy still closer.
Actually, the Nats are only 3 games out.
3 games out. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I am still closer.
I would like to point out though that neither the Nats nor the Reds are playing 500 baseball.
No. 3. This one you might give me a little bit of flack for, but we keep talking about how they should be a team that really has something going for them. We thought maybe they had a little something. They're 2-8 now, and their last 10 they've lost 8 straight. So I have the Royals, the Buccos, the Pirates, and the Marlins in my bottom 3.
Well, we're a little off. I have Marlins, Royals, Baltimore.
Okay, and for me, I could put Baltimore in there, but some of those teams are just what we expect. And again, I think if we're looking at at the last week or two, I mean everyone's looking pretty rough. But I mean, dude, the Pirates are at a negative 21 run differential.
To give them a fair shake, though, they are playing against the Dodgers right now.
That's fine, but they have been playing against them for 8 straight games.
Fair. That's fair.
Thank you. I know.
I mean, I could put the Bucks in there. The Bucks have a better record than the Baltimore Orioles, and the Baltimore Orioles suck.
And I was going to, but I honestly, for me, just for the sake of the discussion, I could put the Bucks in there.
Out of curiosity, are they still playing baseball in Miami or?
Yeah. I mean, it's AAA baseball, but yeah.
Oh, good, very good. Because they have a minus 58 run differential.
Yeah, the
original notice or not, but that's second worst in Major League Baseball. Right after Baltimore at negative 62.
Yeah, actually, the Marlins, I believe, are shutting down their New Orleans affiliate, and they just moved everyone to Miami.
Oh, good. Saves time, saves money.
Right. I mean, same kind of party atmosphere.
Get what you pay for.
No state tax.
Right. And you're getting what you pay for. Right?
There you go.
Although it's probably still like $25 to get into that stadium.
Something like that. So again, I at the end of it, your rankings might be a little better than mine. If I was home, I was pretty much in bed, so I didn't have a chance to watch a ton of baseball. So sorry that my breakdown on that wasn't the best it has been in the past, but that will certainly be rectified come next week. And obviously, you and I will be working together to get our power rankings down. So
of course, yeah.
If they suck, you can be assured that's Chris's fault.
I'd like to point one thing out though. Best team in the league, winning at a 660 clip, doing quite well, especially in the division that they should be looking shut out of the top 2, based on what's going on up in the Northeast. What the teams that they have in the Northeast and what they did last year, and the Tampa Bay Rays are averaging 14,008 fans per day.
Yeah, it's a travesty. It really is.
And there's probably some jackwagon in Central Florida right now going, well, nobody wants to go watch a team lose 100 games.
I mean, I will say this: it's difficult to get to sometimes. Their parking is really poor. It would help they had like a light rail or something, but parking around the stadium is kind of tough. And just getting there, trying to get from Tampa across the bay to St. Pete, it's a really pain in the butt drive.
Well, it worked for the Diamondbacks.
What's that? Having the stadium across the bay?
No, putting in a light rail.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Put in a light rail.
I didn't know they did that since I've been out there.
Yeah. No, it was there when you were here. Believe it or not, quite popular. Been there for about 20 years. But
all right then. Phoenix, pretty good. Look at the cap.
But it makes me wonder if Tampa Bay was in Portland, same team, across the other side of the country. You think they'd get 30, 40,000 people a game?
They'd probably be sold out right now, yeah. Easily. I think so.
Even if they were in a more accessible spot, I just don't see the Tampa Bay Rays selling out.
I mean, dude, we're looking at a team that just beat the Red Sox, and they couldn't get anybody to their game. Granted, they were playing in Boston, not Tampa, so that's why. But
right.
it felt dramatic to say that.
Right. But it's not exactly the amazing feat that it was last year to beat the Red Sox. I mean, they are 11-17 with a negative 36 run differential. They kind of suck.
Yeah, but it was that feat to go 2 out of 3 against the Astros.
Yes, it was, and they're doing a good job.
Yeah. So, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry again for the to build y'all up for the power rankings and put you off one more week. We want to make sure we actually get a chance to really put some time and effort into it. And this is really my last kind of quiet week. I got a game Tuesday, and then I get about a 5 or 6 day hiatus before state playoffs beginning. I have back-to-back ball games, so that's going to be that'll be a good time. So baseball's going to get really busy here in the next month or so for me, officiating as well as watching and getting to really get back into it as I'm back to feeling healthy again. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Again, be sure to go over to thegruelingtruth.com and click on the mybookie.ag banner. Sign up there and get your $1,000 sign-up bonus. Also, be sure to go by our social media pages, Out of Left Field with Chris and Graham on Facebook. Like us there, and at OO Left Field on Twitter. Give us a follow. And be sure to tell your friends about us and just leave us a comment. If you like the show, great. If you don't like the show, tell us why. We'll always try and kind of make it a little better for you guys and change as the game changes as well. For all of us here at The Grueling Truth, for Chris, I'm Graham. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. Catch you next week here on Out of Left Field.